Hey, good morning. Y'all know what day it is? Indeed. So let's see who's in here already. All right. Good morning, everybody. It is Firearms Friday. Let's do the thing. Good morning. Good morning. So, couple things before we get started. I'm running just a little bit behind. I still got to pull up the DGUs, but I've got some pretty handy taps for that. So, what happened was, those of you who watch the show often probably noticed that it's odd that I ran the intro twice, or I ran the second intro rather. And what happened was, when I run the intro, I go up to fill up my coffee cup. So I got a good fresh hot cup when I sit down to start the show. And I got distracted at the coffee pot because all my babies needed hugs this morning, except for the tallest, because, she's 13 now. She's big grown-up teenager. Shouldn't truck for that affection nonsense. No. So, looks like my camera is a hair off. Let's pop that back over to where it's supposed to be. Oh, there we go. I can probably back off one hair. There we go. That's better. So, had to stop and hug the kids this morning before I could come down, and so I had to run the extra intro to buy a little extra time. Now, let's take us a look and see if we can find some DGUs this morning. It is Firearms Friday, and there's one. There's one. There's one. Let's see. Let's go check out Concealed Nation and see what they've got for us this morning. 2 dead after argument in parking lot at Austin Game Room. Now, there's a headline. At a game room. Austin Game Room. Prosecutor declines to press charges against woman who shot and killed man during domestic dispute. Definitely want to check that one out because feminism. Armed cannabis dispenser. Good grief. Okay, we got some stories this morning. Let's start with this one. These 3 are from concealednation.org. So if you guys haven't, you should go and check out the Concealed Nation. And I haven't said good morning. Good morning, everybody. I see my mother drew first blood this morning. Good morning, Ma. And I see Granddad is right on her heels coming in second comment this morning. I know Dad's with Uncle Steve, and they're up in the frozen north in Moscow, Iowa. Iowa. And so I hope everything's going good. How's the Chinook running, old man? Let us know in the comments there. Tell us about how the trip's going. Trish joins us. It's just all family this morning. It's good to see you guys. Love you so much. And I do appreciate my most loyal fans being with us on this beautiful Friday morning. It is a little brisk outside this morning in Georgia, but you know, I can exercise my right to keep and bear arms, despite a little chill in the air. Because let's face it, sandwiches are better than jackets. And let's move on to prosecutor declines to press charges against woman who shot and killed man during domestic dispute. Concealed Nation. Okay, this is one of those where before I even read the case, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the presuppositions, assumptions, and failures of justice that are already discussed in this headline. Now, it is possible that as we read the story, we'll see that there's some wiggle room, some room to have suspicions about wrongdoing, about nefarious motive and activity. But from that headline, prosecutor declines to press charges against woman who shot and killed man during domestic dispute. Domestic dispute. I'll be charitable here and assume that they mean that it was a pair of romantic partners who were arguing, and only in being so charitable can I extend the benefit of the doubt to the officers in this case that they made a reasonable call in arresting the woman, because the thing that we can take from this headline is that the woman was arrested. Now, I've talked about this before. When you're dealing with a case of self-defense, right, what you are not dealing with is a case where you have a likely repeat offender. So, one of the arguments that goes to acquittal on the grounds of a crime of passion, right? Man walks in on his wife in bed with another man, kills them both, and pleads out a crime of passion. A part of that argument is that because of the nature of the crime, it is one he is not likely to repeat. Right? When you start talking about a gangbanger who's got a bunch of bodies on his gun, that's a very different question. It is extremely likely that recidivism will claim him and bring him forward into further crime. Similarly, in a case like this, you've got a domestic dispute. Even if, and this is the charitable interpretation, that we've got two people arguing, and we may find that that's the case. Y'all saw, I just pulled up the head from the headline. I haven't read the article yet. If it's a domestic dispute, they're arguing, they make a habit of arguing, and there hasn't been violence involved in the past, that's one thing. If, however, we're talking about the man physically abusing her, attacking her, beating her, causing her harm, and most especially if there happens to be a history, and certainly if there is a record of a history of that, then it is asinine for the police to have made an arrest. And it doesn't get, the reason I'm having this piece of the conversation with you right now, it doesn't get to the question of whether or not the prosecutor will press charges unless the police have made an arrest. Right? We go back to the McMichaels case often. In that case, it was a pretty clear-cut case of self-defense, so much so that a half a dozen prosecutors said as much, refused to press charges based on the evidence that it was a clear-cut case of self-defense in the course of a lawful citizen's arrest, right? Supported by the evidence of serious felonious wrongdoing by the assailant who lost his life when he attacked an armed man. So in that case, the prosecutors refused to press charges until BLM used terrorism to force these prosecutors, to coerce these prosecutors into recusing themselves until they could find one that would press the charges that they wanted pressed, right? They basically went shopping until they could find a prosecutor who was corrupt enough to press charges in spite of the evidence. And when I say in spite of the evidence, right, I don't necessarily need to see all the evidence involved in a case like that to make the leap to the prosecutor was sufficiently corrupt and sufficiently racist, right? They found a black woman who said, yeah, I'll hang some white boys. I don't necessarily need to see all the evidence involved in the case itself to be able to look at the chain of custody as the individual prosecutors came to their distinct but same conclusions, right? Each one on his own came to the conclusion that there's not enough evidence here to press charges for murder. It's a case of self-defense, no charges. And then each one was terrorized by a radical left-wing terrorist group until they gave it up. In a case like that, where it's a clear-cut case of self-defense, as I suspect this is about to be, if there's an arrest made, if the person, the intended victim who defended him or herself, in this case herself, if there's an arrest made of that victim, then a grave injustice has been done to that person. Right? That is a violation of your basic right to life. To be charged with a crime, which is what it is to be arrested. To be arrested for a crime, the commission of which would have equaled your death, is a violation of your right to life, which of course takes precedence over liberty and the pursuit of happiness and all other individual God-given civil rights. So, in a case from Saginaw, Michigan, no criminal charges will be filed against a woman who fatally shot a man in what has been ruled as self-defense. The incident involved the death of 27-year-old Deshaun M. Skinner, who was shot during a domestic dispute. The Saginaw County Chief Assistant Prosecutor Blair N. Stevenson, that probably helped the woman's case right there, if I'm being honest, announced in December that after reviewing police and autopsy reports, Skinner's death was deemed justifiable homicide. The decision was made considering the evidence and circumstances surrounding the incident. According to police reports, the incident occurred on May 10th at approximately 6:30 p.m. in a house on Brooklyn Lane North. The woman who resided there called 911 to report that she had shot Skinner. She told the authorities that following the shooting, she sought refuge at a neighbor's house. When police and paramedics arrived, Skinner was found alive with a gunshot wound to his upper abdomen. He was transported to Ascension St. Mary's Hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries. The woman, after waiving her Miranda rights, don't ever do that, was taken to the police headquarters for an interview. She recounted that her relationship with Skinner had been strained due to his deceitful behavior, including a fabricated story involving a car being towed, needing money. On the day of the shooting, an argument erupted between them, which escalated throughout the day. The situation intensified when Skinner returned to the woman's house to charge his phone. According to the woman, Skinner's erratic behavior, including punching walls and a physical altercation, like I said, that right there, we were expecting that, and that pretty much gets us to justification by itself. In the midst of being choked by Skinner, that does it. She managed to grab her 9mm handgun and shot him once in self-defense, as he did not heed her warnings to stop. I would also grant that if it's not going to be deemed self-defense, if Skinner's dead, then the charge will be murder. In the case here, it says that she shot him once, and then she ran away and called 911. That speaks very, very positively to her frame of mind and her intent, because remember, for murder, intent is an important element of the crime. If she shot him once, left him alive, and fled, fearing for her safety, and immediately called the authorities, that sounds a hell of a lot like, I wasn't trying to kill him, I was just trying not to die. And that probably did her a hell of a lot of favors as far as the prosecution is concerned. It says she was not arrested or jailed following the incident. I find that claim dubious. Let me take you back to the case of what's his name? Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. In the case of Zimmerman, what happened? It was such an obvious and clean-cut case of self-defense that the police made no arrest at the scene. Later, facing political pressure, the DA was asked and refused to consent to sending for an arrest and refused to press charges, and then was replaced by Eric Holder with another corrupt DA that was willing to press charges. But in that case, again, clear-cut self-defense, no arrest made. So I may have been a little too hard on these guys. It says she was not arrested or jailed following the incident. And that is, if that's the case, then that is justice done. Because that sounds... This is one where the story contains such a chain of related information that it would almost be unreasonable not to presuppose the existence of evidence to support those claims. Right? It's what she has described here is not a surprisingly complex pattern of behavior, but rather a pattern that is, let's face it, relatively routine, especially amongst drug abusers, which Skinner almost certainly is, just based on what she's reporting here. Lying about needing money and about why he needs money, erratic behavior, arguments, let his cell phone battery die, disorganized, doesn't plan ahead. Yeah, this guy's into some drugs, and it's It's not just pot. This guy's into like some meth or something, probably. Well, I mean, in all fairness, not anymore. Ma makes a very good point that I will not say out loud on the air, unfortunately. I'll have to play that game a little bit. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Oh, yeah, that was a DOT. So, this next one, it looks like we've got some video. Suspect in critical condition after gunfight with armed cannabis dispensary employee. So, yeah, we're gonna have to watch this. Wait. Let me see if I can get some audio on here.
And a security guard in the hospital and 2 more suspects at large.
KENS 5's Andrew Moore is here with the story.
Andrew.
Thank you for joining us. We begin with some dramatic video. Gunfire erupts inside a local cannabis shop, and KENS 5 has the exclusive video.
The shooting left a suspect and a security guard in the hospital and 2 more suspects.
Okay, this is some classic fuck around and find out. I'll be fair. A cannabis shop is a cannabis shop is not a gun store, right? This isn't quite as FAFO as the guys that try to go into a gun store or a pawn shop and rob them. Hey, give me all your money. I've got a gun. Yeah, you've got a gun. And it amazes me that I've seen more than one story like that. It's like, no. It's not that the clerk shot him. It's that the 12 customers did. It's so during an attempt, and I mean that, I'm gonna play it one more time.
KENS 5's Andrew Moore is here with the story.
Andrew.
That was pretty visibly
left a suspect and a security guard in the hospital and 2 more suspects.
That was pretty visibly
Thank you for joining us. We begin with some dramatic video. Gunfire erupts inside a local cannabis shop, and KENS 5 has the exclusive video.
The shooting left a suspect and a security guard in the hospital and 2 more suspects at large.
KENS 5's Andrew Moore is here with the story.
You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. So, and maybe it's cruel, but don't do bad shit. So during an attempted robbery at the Purple Dragon Cannabis Dispensary on the north side, this is in San Antonio, Texas. I didn't know they had dispensaries in Texas. Both an employee and a suspect were wounded. The incident occurred around 3:30 in the morning in the 500 block of West Hildebrand Avenue. Police arrived to find a confrontation in progress. Reports indicate that a group attempted to rob the dispensary. When we say, they say reports indicate, we just saw the video. 3 dudes came in and they were slinging lead right off the rip. So, attempted to rob the dispensary. In the ensuing conflict, a 23-year-old employee and a 24-year-old suspect exchanged gunfire, resulting in injuries to both. Following the incident, several individuals fled the scene. On site, the employee was discovered on the floor with multiple gunshot wounds, and the suspect was found in the bathroom, also suffering from gunshot injuries. Oh, so it's not a DRT. I have to take that one back. That's unfortunate. Both the employee and the suspect were transported to a local hospital. The employee was in stable condition, while the suspect's condition was listed as critical. Authorities have not released the identity of those involved. 2 firearms recovered at the dispensary. The police are continuing their investigation into the robbery. I hope they give the clerk his gun back, because that, the thing that scares me most about finding myself in a situation where I have to draw my weapon and defend myself, which is not something that I have had to do in a little over a decade now. And those were, those were battlefield conditions. So not exactly a homicide investigation going on. That was, they're shooting at me, so fuck them. Sometimes you just have to go to work. But as far as being here, CONUS, living as a civilian, but being responsibly armed and reasonably prepared to do my duty as a man in the event that something were to go down where I am and I had to take action. The thing that scares me most about it, like, I'm good at that thing. I have a very high degree of confidence in my emerging successful from an altercation of that sort. I've seen me do it. The thing that scares me most is that the cops are going to take my gun and I never get it back. Because I'm relatively confident that I know when it's appropriate to use force and that I will do so to great effect. And I'll come out the other side of it, God willing, justice done, not having been incarcerated. Waller says high point. What, do you carry a high point because you don't want to get emotionally attached to something that you expect to lose? Is that how that works, Waller? No, the correct answer is you buy two guns. When you buy a gun, you buy two. Keep a spare rod in the closet. So, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it there. I got to get down the street and shoot some photography. I'm going to make sure I clarify and not leave the pun to interpretation this morning. So, to clarify, I am speaking of a hypothetical situation in which the police arrive at the scene before I am able to leave. That complicates the engagement of spoliation. So, but that's the show this morning. It is Friday. We're going into the weekend. I want y'all to be safe out there. Sergeant Major, you especially. I know you're driving that big old honking beast on them nasty, icy, snowy roads. I'm sure it's beautiful off to the sides, but you slip and slide and get yourself in trouble, and I want you to come home safe and sound, so you keep your eyes on the road. And Uncle Steve, you hold that beer. Make the man drive with both hands. You need to drink a little, pull over, and then drive. So, don't drive, drink, don't fry bacon naked, and for God's sake, keep calm and carry one. We love you, and we will see you on Monday.